For lesson 1-10, we're going to make function tables and write equations. So a function table or a function is kind of like a number machine. You put a number in, you get a number out. So when we do a function, we have usually an x and we have a y. All right, and the domain or the input values are usually our x, and our range or our output values are usually stand for our y. Now you could have different variables here, but the most common you will see in function tables will be x and y, and x is the number that you put in and y is the number you get out. So this would be kind of a function or an equation. It would be y equals 3x. So you put a number in for x, you multiply by 3, and you get the number y out. So if we had the number 1, for example, 3 times 1 is 3. So we put 1 into the function and we get 3 out. We put 2 into the function, we get 6 out. We put 3 into the function, we get 9 out. Okay, so x is our domain, our input values, and y is our range or our output values. Asha makes $6 an hour working at a grocery store. Make a function table that shows Asha's total earnings for working 1, 2, 3, and 4 hours. So we're going to fill in the table. We're going to say 1, 2, 3, and 4 hours. All right, and then we're going to multiply by 6. So that is the function. That's the rule. All right, so we're going to do 1 times 6, 2 times 6, 3 times 6, and 4 times 6. So I got my numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 from here, and multiply by 6 came from my rule. So I'm going to get $6, and I'm going to get $12, then $18, and then $24 after the 4th hour. So my domain, my inputs were 1, 2, 3, and 4. My range was 6, 12, 18, and 24. So again, domain is your inputs, so you just list them. Your range is your outputs, and you just list those. All right, for your homework, you might have to make a number table, a function table. Again, you can just kind of go x, y. All right, the numbers that you're putting in, you could have said 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, and then times 6 is 6, times 6 is 12, times 6 is 18, times 6 is 24. And if it asks you to list the domain and range, you just list them, okay? Your x is your domain. You could even say this for your homework. You could say domain and then just point to it, and then you could say range, and again, you can point to it, okay? I'm not trying to make you do more work here by listing those things, but I want you to be able to identify which one is the domain and which one is the range. That's the main idea. Melanie read 14 pages of a detective novel each hour. Write an equation using 2 variables to show how many pages P she read in each hours. So the output is pages read, the input is number of hours. So we know that it's usually the, kind of like how I showed in the example here, I have my input, so here I went 3 times x, and that equals y. So we need to kind of figure out what we're going to do here. Here I have h, so h times, it says multiply by 14. H times 14 equals our p. So that's your equation. So part of your answer here would be to say h or 14h equals p, or h times 14 equals p. Either way, it would be fine. Now, for the first hour, we go 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then obviously we can say 1 times 14, 2 times 14, 3 times 14, and then 4 times 14. And then, so our pages read are 14, 28. All right, and then we would have 42 and 56 pages read. So our domain again are 1, 2, 3, and 4. And our range are 14, 28, 42, and 56. Now you might be asking, well, where did I get these numbers from? 1, 2, 3, 4. I just put them in. All right, I'm not going to pick big numbers. I'm just going to go pick 1, 2, 3, 4 and plug those numbers in and see what I get for my range coming out. Derek drove 55 miles per hour. Whenever we see the word per, we should think multiply. Okay, so 55 miles per hour, that could be another variable, to visit his grandmother. Write an equation using two variables to show how many miles M he drove in H hours. So I have 55 miles per hour is going to give us the number of miles he drove. So 55 times the number of hours. So if he drove 1 hour, that'd be 55 miles. If he drove 2 hours, that'd be 110 miles. Okay, so we'd be able to figure that out. If we wanted to make a function table, it'd be H here and M, because H would be our domain. That's our input values. We put numbers in here, we get numbers out there. So you could do this. It didn't ask us to do this. All it said was write an equation. It didn't say do a function table or solve anything. Melanie read 14 pages of a detective novel each hour. Each and per both mean multiply. Okay? So whenever you see that word each or per, we think multiply, and then hour. Okay, so that's another one. Use the equation P equals 14H, which 14 each hour, which would be 14H, right? And then equals P, you could either have it on that side, or you could say 14H equals P, it doesn't matter. And P is how many pages she reads in H hours. To find how many pages Melanie read in 7 hours. So they want us to actually plug in just this amount. So before we were doing function tables where we listed all kinds of amounts or pieces of data, now they just want us to plug in this one piece of data. So now I'm going to say P equals 14 times 7. We plug it in. All right, now you can use your calculator or work this one out. All right, we get 28. 4 times 7 is 28. And then 7 times 1 is 7 plus 2 is 9. So 98 pages in 7 hours. That's how many pages she would read in those 7 hours, if we're going to solve that. Derek drove 55 miles per hour to visit his grandmother using the equation M equals 55H. How many miles Derek drove in 6 hours? So this is the same equation, all right? This looks very similar. However, now they're giving us a total. Before we just had to write the equation, so we have M equals 55H. Now it says to put in 6 for H, so now we say M equals 55 times 6. Okay, so you can either use your calculator or work this one out. All right, 5 times 6 is 30. 6 times 5 is 30 again, plus 3 is 33. So we have 330 miles. All right, so if you're driving 55 miles an hour and you drive for 6 hours, you will go 330 miles. Of course, that's considering you're going exactly 55 miles an hour the whole time. You don't have any traffic, you don't have to slow down, and you don't go any faster than 55. All right, and that's your last example for 1-10. Be sure to check the Moodle page to find out what your homework is.